Next, notable women in Columbus's history.
Support for Columbus Neighborhoods is provided by...
At American Electric Power, we've been proud sponsors of WOSU Public Media for many years and strong supporters of our headquarters city here in Columbus, both downtown and in neighborhoods like yours.
State Auto Insurance Companies, transforming to become a digital provider of auto, home, and business insurance. And for nearly 100 years, committed to the people and neighborhoods of Central Ohio. State Auto. The Columbus Foundation. Smart philanthropy for a smart city. ColumbusFoundation.org. Bailey Cavalieri. Your relationship with your law firm doesn't need to be complicated, it just needs to be right. Kojo. Keeps our community moving forward. Falgren Moortime Marketing and Communications. Think wider. Ohio Health focuses on you and your family with a mission to improve the health of our communities. Women in Philanthropy at Ohio State, changing lives by giving together. And by contributions from these and other Columbus area families who support WOSU. Thank you.
We're always looking for good stories here at Columbus Neighborhoods, so we were intrigued with this concept. Let's get 5 notable women of Columbus's present to tell us about 5 notable women of Columbus's past. One of those women actually helped create a mission to help others here in this house right here. Her story and the others tell about women who did fascinating things both here in Columbus and all over the world.
Great. Thank you. Hi. Good to see you in time for tea. Hi.
Wow.
Especially today. Is tea okay?
Yes, tea is fine.
Take your tea and we'll head over and have a seat.
We're getting our company. You have had that.
Well, thank you so much for coming. It's really delightful to get together with all of you because we all love Ohio history and Columbus history in particular. And today, to have a conversation about women that were notable in Columbus history. And I know we all have favorites, but it's kind of interesting to go back into our 19th century history and kind of think about where women were at that period, what their rights were, what their role in society was. You know, they weren't working in the workplace necessarily, but a lot of what they did had a social purpose, taking care of women, children, other kinds of people that maybe needed help.
Well, I think for me, I look at someone like Hannah Neal, and I am absolutely impressed. There's really only one portrait of her, and she always looks very serious and very plainly dressed. And here she is, probably the wife of the richest man in Columbus.
Very prominent family,
very prominent,
wealthy.
And they lived obviously in the center of downtown as a young couple, and then eventually would move to what I think people, older generation Columbus still remembers, the Neal House and where that was across from the State House. And eventually that will turn into a small tavern, and then we go through the cycle of 3 different Neal houses. But I like to think of her because as much as he made money, she gave it away. She is extraordinary. She would spend the whole summer stocking up preserves and making sure there was sausages and hams and things that could be smoked. And then throughout the winter, she's distributing lots of food. And she's also giving away most of her clothing. She even gave away the very best cloak she ever had to a woman who needed it. And her daughter was sort of chiding her about giving away all of her clothing, and that she was actually shivering in the cold. A lot of that early work for her came out of her religious roots, which is where I think we see a lot of that in early 19th century. But eventually what will happen is the National Road that's going to open in the 1840s. And with the National Road, suddenly there is no mechanism to take in orphans or children who were going to be left on their own. Prior to that, children were often taken by families and you just took another one in. Occasionally, a woman who might be identified as prominent would open her door and find there was a baby in a basket. And it
Just
was,
left
you
there
know, it's
abandoned.
almost the classic foundling story. By the 1840s, you have people coming on the National Road who, if they get to Columbus with a sick relative or a child that's been abandoned along the way, what do you do now? So they open a school. Hannah Neal's very into this. It was really just a Saturday school, and that later becomes the Hannah Neal Mission. They rename it 6 months after she dies in her honor. But within 4 years, the 20 boys that were there were now 400 children. She helped to be one of the founders of the Female Benevolent Society, which is the oldest charity in Columbus, still exists.
It's always fascinated me about Columbus that there have been so many charitable institutions and so early on, especially at a time when women should be inside the home and men's sphere was out in the public. And these women went out and they not only gave their own stuff away, but they were making the case for fundraising for these organizations in a time when that wasn't really done.
I think the most telling thing is that by the time Hannah Neal dies, which is just after the Civil War, the people who line the church and the street are all poor people who came out to pay their respects. They had all been touched by her life.
We're still in the 19th century and women didn't have a lot of rights yet. Is there anybody that you can think of that really had an impact?
The person that, in my opinion, made the greatest impact in Ohio and across the country is a woman by the name of Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. She was born in 1825 in Baltimore, Maryland. She was a person of color. Her parents are free, so she's born free. Unfortunately, her parents pass away, and so at age 3, her uncle, William, and her aunt Henrietta take her in. He has a school, he's built a school, and he's teaching free colored children how to read and write. And so Frances is one of his students. As she gets older, at around age 13, she works in a very well-to-do white family home as a domestic, and they have a huge library. And she is allowed to read just about everything that they have. She loves to write, and she has published her first book of poetry by the time she's 20. She comes to Ohio, and she's teaching at the Union Seminary, and she's teaching sewing and embroidery. She's writing, she's starting to lecture about all sorts of causes, the plight of slaves.
Remember slavery's cruel hands make heathens at your doors.
And so she goes on the public circuit. She travels in the South, she travels all through the East Coast, she travels in New England, and then she winds up again in Ohio. In 1858, she is speaking to the Colored Men's Association. I think this is where she finally meets her husband-to-be. His name was Fenton Harper. He's a widower, and he has 3 children. And so for her to leave her speaking engagements and her writing, she's publishing books, she turns a lot of money over to all of these benevolent causes, but she gets married and she helps her husband buy a farm outside of Columbus near Grove City. She's taking care of his 3 children, and they have a child of their own, Mary. But she's not married long because 4 years later he passes away. Shortly afterwards, 5 months later or so, she's back on the speaking circuit again, still giving money to the anti-slavery societies. She is campaigning about temperance. She's speaking now at conventions about education. You know, the war's over. They're even traveling back to the South, talking to slaves that have now gotten their freedom, but still are living there in shacks. And she really talks to the women, and she has private meetings with these women on how to elevate themselves. I find it extraordinary in 1871 that she's going to the South, you know, when we know that the Klan has started to rise, you know, and no one ever bothers her.
She sounds fearless.
She is fearless.
She probably projected that.
She died on February the 20th, 1911.
Oh, she lived a long time.
She lived a long time. She lived to be 85 years old.
Crime has no sex, and yet today, I wear the brand of shame.
I think she still has a profound impact, although her name may not be as much a household word, because I think what always impressed me about her was that she really could call it out about men. She wrote a poem about the double standard, and the double standard has to be the most eye-opening poem you've ever read. How men had defined the sphere for women, and that what was the difference between a woman who had fallen and a young man who had caused the fall.
Women not being raised and elevated to the level of men, that would trouble her. And she was just so adamant about trying to make a difference in all these lives.
Well, it's interesting. We've gone from anti-slavery, temperance, and now we're getting up to the suffragette movement and how women demand the vote and have more political say in what went on. Does anybody have somebody from that time period that they're especially interested in?
There's one woman in particular that my team at Columbus Metropolitan Library has been doing some research on. Her name's Evangeline Reams. She comes from a Quaker family up in Zanesfield. Her father, as a young man, enlisted in the Civil War, which as a pacifist was not something you would do. He came back from the war and, even worse, married a Methodist. So he was actually excommunicated until Evangeline was about 8 or 9 years old, and then the family came back into the Quaker meeting. When she was about 16 years old, she was called in prayer one day to help the young women of Columbus that she had heard about that were in distress here. She told her parents she felt this calling, she needed to leave, she needed to come to Columbus, and they said absolutely not. She waited a few years till she was 19 and old enough to leave, and left on her own, no money, no connections here in Columbus. Came into town and started working for the Canal Street Mission. Talk about fearless. She went into saloons and brothels and talked to women and found that she realized she had this gift. She had this ability to make people feel that she was going to keep them safe and comfortable and help them get out of their situations. And then just started to realize the extent of this problem and decided to raise some money and ended up buying a house on Harris Avenue over on the west side. She raised $10,000 to buy that house, paid the mortgage off in about 10 years, and then went on and was able to purchase a larger house that could hold up to 50 women at a time. What was really interesting about her as well is that she was interested in the whole person. So she wanted to help women to get education and to be trained for jobs. It was called the Friends Rescue Home. The women who came into the home who were pregnant, she would make sure that if they wanted to keep the child, they would have child care after they gave birth. She actually got the home certified as a birthing center, so the women didn't have to go to the hospital and leave the home and come back, which was pretty astonishing for that time. We're talking 19 teens here. It would cost $1,000 a month to operate the home, and she raised all the money herself. She managed it. She had a small staff of women, but basically managed the home on her own. She would do these speaking tours where she would go around the Midwest to raise money. There's a report from the 19 teens where she traveled 10,000 miles in 1 year. And 10,000 miles in that time.
And it was slow travel at that time.
And slow travel. There was one story that she told in her autobiography where she talks about basically human trafficking scheme that was happening at that time, where there would be ads in the paper that were just too good to be true. You know, we want a housekeeper with very light duties, and you get a full apartment and all of these wonderful things, right? But you have to meet me at the train station at 6 o'clock in the evening or something like that, right? So these women would answer the ads and then be abducted and you know, end up in a brothel somewhere, and really horrible stuff. So what Evangeline would do is she ran a service where she would check ads for people. And she told this one story in her autobiography where she went on a sting operation with this young woman who they had the girl go and meet the guy in the dark on the street corner, wherever it was, and Evangeline and the police were hiding around the corner, and when he took the girl into this house nearby, the police jumped in and caught him, and he was arrested and shut that operation down. So just an incredibly fearless woman for her time. Unfortunately, her life came to a somewhat tragic end. She was on one of her fundraising tours in Indiana and was in an automobile accident in 1934. She was only in her early 60s at that time. Her work lived on. People continued to run the Friends Rescue Home until about 1979, so it went on for a long time.
We've been talking a lot about 19th, early 20th century, but Columbus has some pretty interesting women from that mid-century period too, who did things that were unexpected maybe.
A person that I have become fascinated with is Jerrie Mock. Now everyone pretty much knows Amelia Earhart, but very few people know Jerrie Mock, the first woman who actually did fly solo around the world. Jerrie Mock left Columbus on March 19th, 1964.
With 21 stops in 29 days, she is the first woman to make the solo world flight.
Her plane was a single-engine Cessna 180. She called it the Spirit of Columbus. Jerrie Mock lived in Bexley with her husband and 3 children. She had attended Ohio State University and studied aeronautical engineering, not a typical major for many women at that time. She had left then school when she got married, which was a fairly typical approach that many women did. Her whole idea of flying around the world came out of a dinner conversation with her husband and was first envisioned as a worldwide vacation. So
a grueling one, but a worldwide vacation.
The idea of the competition didn't even enter into it until a California pilot, Joan Merriam Smith, started planning a flight too. So she left 2 days earlier than Jerrie Mock. She had a better equipped, newer plane, and she had more experience as a pilot. Jerrie Mock got her pilot's license in 1957. She had logged in a little over 750 miles, and her plane was 11 years old, and it wasn't actually designed to be a long-distance plane. So she was seen as this lone, rather inexperienced pilot flying an 11-year-old plane. And in fact, as she took off from then Port Columbus, she could overhear one of the control tower people saying, well, that's the last we'll hear of her.
Oh my gosh.
So she ended up beating Smith by 27 days, and she broke all kinds of records of land or speed and distance records.
She was described as a Bexley housewife, and I remember reading the articles that she was actually sending back in the Columbus Dispatch at that time.
Well, when
I lived in Bexley in that period, and it was like, here's this woman who could be anybody's mother, really, taking off and flying around the world. I'd like to know what the tower person thought when she landed back there.
Well, actually,
a month later,
there is mention of them saying, well, there was a little skepticism when you left, and her response was, I know. She made the comment one time that she felt proud, bewildered, somewhat modest of her achievements, but she felt that if her doing something out of the ordinary prompted someone else to decide to do something that they'd long wanted to try to do, then she will have succeeded, and she was very proud of that inspiration.
We've been talking about women in lots of different fields, and I particularly am interested in people in the field of the arts. And one of my very favorite Columbus artist woman is Aminah Robinson. She was born in 1940 in Columbus, on the east side of Columbus, African American, in an area that was known as the Blackberry Patch. And when she was very young, she didn't speak, and her father gave her art material. She started to draw and sketch when she was 3 years old. I remember at one point in one of her writings, she said that she didn't speak much, but her father would say, "What are you thinking?" And she would sketch something. So she was always encouraged. When she was born, her name was Brenda Lynn Robinson. She took on the name Aminah after she visited Africa, and a wise man, a holy man, she said, gave her that name. So she always went by Aminah Brenda Lynn Robinson after that. Later in life, where she was becoming well known, she received fellowships and she was given opportunities to travel, but she was always rooted in Columbus. And I think because I've always worked in preservation, I've always loved the idea of how Aminah preserved Columbus history through art and the physical environment and the stories of people. And they were the stories of ordinary people, the people on the east side, the people on Long Street, the shopkeepers, the people on Mount Vernon Avenue, and they became real characters that people in Columbus could get to know. They had names, they had addresses, they had buildings, and she really represented all of that in her artwork. She painted, she sketched, watercolors, black and white, ink, but the thing that I think probably was most distinctive about Aminah's work were her fabric pieces. She called them ragnons. She would put buttons and all kinds of found objects in it, very three-dimensional, very colorful, very dramatic, and would roll it up as she went. So she never saw the completed work, and it was all a continuous story. But it was the idea of place, it was the idea of roots, it was the idea of family and stories and heritage that really was always part of her artwork. To me, her artwork expressed joy. It expressed joy in life, joy in the little things of life. She grew up in Poindexter Village. Her family was one of the first people to move in there, and she always described how it was a real community. It supported children. If you hear "it takes a village," that was her village. Everybody cared for each other's children.
She really helped people understand through her artwork that sense of place. Yes. This sense of home. Wherever your home is, there is a sense of home. And for her, Poindexter Village was her sense of place. And all of those little characters, the chicken man, or, you know, and all those characters, you know, she gave a voice to all of those characters.
She's taking you on a journey, and she's using her skills, her medium, just again, like the writers, like Hannah, and her benevolence and the vision that Angeline had. They're all taking us on this journey, and they're all giving back to us in the ways they knew best and the power that they wielded.
I just wanted to remind people that there were communities that have been demolished, but the traditions and the culture remain. They're not going anywhere.
When kids come into the library and they see that big mural, there's always one kid, it seems like in every group, that hangs back and just their eyes are lit up and their mouth is open, and I always think that's going to be the next big Columbus artist. Right. Like that kid right there. You know, that's going to be the next Aminah, who knows.
Thank you so much for coming. This has been delightful, and it's always great to sit around with other women to have conversations. Thank you.
Thanks for being with us, and remember, you can catch all of our episodes on columbusneighborhoods.org. Plus, see our stories on the WOSU mobile app, and you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll see you back here next week on Columbus Neighborhoods.
When I was young, I had a dream. I wanted to build my own wings. my mind that I wasn't designed to fly. How to find a way to the sun, to the sun. I'm gonna fly.
Support for Columbus Neighborhoods is provided by
At American Electric Power, we've been proud sponsors of WOSU Public Media for many years and strong supporters of our headquarters city here in Columbus, both downtown and in neighborhoods like yours.
State Auto Insurance Companies, transforming to become a digital provider of auto, home, and business insurance. And for nearly 100 years, committed to the people and neighborhoods of Central Ohio. State Auto. The Columbus Foundation. Smart philanthropy for a smart city. ColumbusFoundation.org. Bailey CAVALIERI. Your relationship with your law firm doesn't need to be complicated, it just needs to be right. Kojo keeps our community moving forward. Falgren Moortime Marketing and Communications. Think wider. Ohio Health focuses on you and your family with a mission to improve the health of our communities. Women in Philanthropy at Ohio State, changing lives by giving together. And by contributions from these and other Columbus area families who support WOSU. Thank you.